Have you ever fallen for someone completely different from yourself out of nowhere? For me, a 59-year-old woman who swims twice a week, that sort of thing seemed impossible. At least until I met our new instructor at the local pool, Matthew. That day, heading to the pool, I thought I'd find myself in the comforting familiarity of my routine. As always, I'd packed my gym bag, carefully folded my swimsuit and towel. Water always fills me with a sense of peace. When I swim, it's like everything pauses for a while. And as my body glides through the cool water, all my thoughts drift away. I'd grown used to this over the years, but when I heard Matthew's calm, confident voice, something in me stirred. A spark I hadn't felt in a long time. When I heard his name, I looked over. He had broad shoulders, strong arms, and that easy smile that was always on his face. Even on the other side of the pool, guiding kids in line and giving instructions, he had this relaxed, assured presence. Young men in their world had long been very different from mine, and I usually didn't pay them much mind. But Matthew broke through all that. Right then, I felt myself being drawn to him, and there was no denying it. In the weeks that followed, I found myself running into Matthew often. Each time he'd give me this look, a mix of warmth and thrill, that left me both calm and a little exhilarated. A few weeks later, after I'd finished my laps, he came over and said, "You have an incredible stroke technique." His eyes were serious, full of admiration. No one had ever noticed my form like that before. In those moments, under the warmth of his gaze, I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. I ignored the age difference between us and just let myself enjoy those moments. One day after practice, he came by to give me a few tips on my swimming technique. As I looked at him more closely, I noticed the definition of his muscles, the broadness of his shoulders, the way his damp hair fell onto his forehead. Strangely, I felt drawn to him as though he was the only thing in my focus and everything else faded away. During one of those lessons, it felt like he was standing just a little closer than usual. Gently, he touched my shoulders, showing me how to move. For a moment, I felt like I could barely breathe, and a small smile crept onto my face. Matthew didn't look away. He just kept his gaze on me. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice unusually warm. I was surprised, but I loved that excitement, that mix of emotions. And in that moment, I loved being close to him. I was nearing the end of my workout that day, slowing my pace, gliding through the water, savoring the coolness as always. But suddenly my foot slipped and a sharp pain shot through my ankle. A severe ache spread up my leg as I tried to get out on my own. Everything just seemed to get harder. Matthew was by my side right away, looking into my eyes with a worried expression. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft but with a hint of urgency. "I think I twisted my ankle," I managed to say with difficulty. In an instant, I found myself in his arms. He lifted me up, holding me carefully, and I could feel the warmth of his arms around me. My heart started to race, and I quickly looked away, hoping he wouldn't notice the faint blush on my face. But this feeling, I hadn't been affected this strongly in a long time. As Matthew carried me towards the treatment room by the pool, I became aware of my bold red swimsuit hugging my figure. The way it clung to my curves, the bright red color, the tension of the moment wrapped around me. When I glanced at Matthew, the thought that he might be just as affected as I was slipped into my mind. My heart pounded with excitement. When he gently placed me on the treatment bed, I noticed he held his hand on mine just a little longer. When our eyes met, he paused. The warmth in his gaze left an even stronger impression on me. In that brief moment, neither of us said a word, but it felt as though our feelings were somehow silently passing between us. Matthew spoke in a low voice. "I'll need to put some ice on your ankle." He reached for an ice pack nearby. Even the chill of the ice wasn't enough to cool the warmth I was feeling. Those few seconds where we both stayed quiet, lost in the moment, felt like they stretched on much longer. As he helped me, I could feel his eyes studying every detail of me with careful attention. "I don't like seeing you like this," he said with a slight smile. His voice was soft and gentle, but it felt like there was something more hidden behind his words. At that moment I became even more aware of the silent pull between us, the feeling that he was just as affected by me as I was by him. Combined with the allure of my red swimsuit, everything became even more intense. This little injury seemed to have stirred up emotions in both of us that had been kept under the surface. Matthew held my injured ankle carefully, setting the ice pack aside. The warmth of his fingers on my skin made me quickly forget the chill of the ice. As he lightly massaged my ankle, I tried to look away, but I couldn't hide the thrill rising within me with each touch. I took a deep breath, hoping it might calm me down somehow. "This might hurt a little," he whispered softly, his gaze tender but holding something deeper, a magnetic pull. As his hand slowly moved from my ankle up toward my arm, something inside me sped up. Every movement of his fingertips made my heart beat faster. Suddenly, his hands moved to my shoulder, his eyes never leaving mine. When the space between our lips grew smaller, my breath caught. And then, everything happened all at once. Matthew's lips met mine slowly, almost hesitantly. In that moment, all the complicated feelings within me surfaced at once. As the warmth spread across my face in waves, I couldn't resist him. The softness of his lips, the passion in his touch. I was completely swept away by the magic of this moment. My hands instinctively moved to his shoulders, wanting to feel him closer. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it might burst. Inside, I felt a rush of energy I hadn't felt in a long time. A mix of excitement and a hint of fear. But right now, being in his arms made everything feel right. That unexpected kiss exploded in a single moment, instantly bridging our two worlds together. In the silence, only the sound of our breathing could be heard. I wanted to feel this moment even more deeply, to let go of everything and simply feel. But then reality struck. A voice inside me whispered that this was wrong. He was my best friend's son. The age difference, the circumstances, everything should have stopped me. But I didn't want to stop. And that terrified me even more.